It's time to look at the weekend newspapers, and to help me make sense of the headlines, I'm joined by senior political journalist at EWN, Theto Mahlakoana, and Vice-Chancellor at the University of the Witwatersrand, Professor Adam Habib. Adam, thank you for being so kind to stay with us. Theto, good morning, welcome to you. Let's start with the city press. The public protector fighting for her life, threatening to take the Speaker of Parliament, Thandi Modise, to court. Are you surprised?
Not at all. I mean, there is the normal modus operandi in South African social, spaces and in the politics of it, that one would like to test the certain legislation that is supposedly going to be used against them in court. And I think actually that is a good thing than the extension of those parliamentary rules to see the kind of debate that was motioned for by the DA being had around her suitability to hold office. If indeed, the extension of the rules to remove a leader of a Chapter 9 institution is a problem in law, then the court will be able to give us that clarity. So indeed, she must go ahead and test the law if she feels that is unconstitutional, as she has said so. But also, I feel that it's a way of pretty much building her defense. It's going to be a long year for her. She's got the Hawks looking at her, the South African Revenue Services looking at her, among others. And I think this is just one way of her saying that I'm ready to fight. And it's normal in South African society.
Is that a good thing for democracy, that you have a public protector who is fighting for her right to stay in office? Or is the fact that we are there already an indication that the Chapter 9 institution has been irredeemably compromised?
Well, I'm not sure about the irredeemably part, but it has been compromised. I think that the real problem here is, and you're right, I think it's a sign that we can go to the law and we can go to the courts. But I think too many political battles, too many political issues are being resolved in the courts. And I think that there's a real worry about that. There are things that should be resolved outside the courts as part of the political process. But the last 10 years have contaminated so many of our institutions that we shouldn't have the public protector spending half a day or three-quarter of a day worried about whether she survives or not, and being responsible for taking her mandate seriously, which is to protect citizens against powerful stakeholders in the society. And too little of that's going to play out, because she is seen by certain sides to have become embroiled in the politics and the political battles of our society. That relative autonomy that should have been in the Chapter 9 institution is no longer seen to be there, and that has compromised.
Let's go to the Sunday Times, and of course the headline there is "I will clean SOE rot," and that is the words of the brand new CEO of Transnet, Miss Portia Derby. And the article is interesting on a number of levels. So she's not a newcomer, for those of our viewers wondering who she is. She's the former Director General of Public Enterprises during the period of Thabo Mbeki's presidency. Theto, is this a good appointment?
Look, given her credentials, I think it's a really good appointment. The SOEs have been struggling to sort of renew their credibility, given the amount of damage that has been done to these institutions. Now, appointing someone of her caliber is, I think, a suggestion from the cabinet that they're looking to really not only clean out, but return the accountability, return that stature that one needs to have to be able to lead an institution of Transnet's significance in our economy and society. Now, there's been a lot of debate around who she is and around her personal issues, which of course I expect. It's a woman, and a woman of color at that, who I guess the only way to sort of come at, if her credibility and her credentials are that of a high standing, is to attack her personal life. And I think it's not worth going into, Karima, because we have seen her work. And if there were issues around how she performed, whether as a DG at that time or in her many other portfolios, those issues would have come out. But now the only way to go after her without any really substance is to attack her personal life.
Adam, do you agree with Theto?
So, look, what I absolutely agree that this is not a conversation about a personal life. Yeah. This shouldn't be the question. What I want to see as the head of Transnet is what the mandate of Transnet is as a state-owned enterprise. I want to see what's happening on our ports, what's happening in our airports, what's happening in our all of what's happening on our trains, what's happening on our train system, so that we can move goods from the kinds of heartland, industrial heartland, to the ports. How do we make sure that our ports match what's happening in Singapore and is able to transport as quickly and as effective? Those are the issues. She has to clean out corruption, because that's a trust deficit, and you're never going to get the investments. But I think she's got to start saying, I'm here to clean out the rot. I'm going to hold people accountable. But here's the 5 things I'm going to deliver on, which is what a state-owned enterprise that Transnet has as its mandate. And I will do this in year 2, year 4, year 6. That's what you want.
Now, we've just had the Minister for Higher Education, Science and Technology on saying that the total shutdown has been stopped, an agreement has been reached with students. The City Press goes into great detail around that. Adam, he explained that he's consulted with quite a wide range of stakeholders, including universities. Has Wits been consulted, and how does this affect your institution, for example?
So let me say 2 things. Firstly, I think it's fantastic that we've had the kinds of political leadership. This is the kind of political leadership you want. What you want to see is, yes, there's a threat system-wide about shutdown. You've got the political leadership coming into the fray. They're sitting down. They're working out the kinds of issues that need to be. And I think that all stakeholders are relieved that we're seeing this kind of political leadership at a systemic level. The second thing, however, that I think we do need, yes, universities were consulted through University South Africa, so Wits was not there, but Wits has been in conversation with University South Africa. I do think 2 things, however, need to be highlighted. Part 1 is the violence. Everything we saw there, all of the backdrop was the violence in university. This has to stop. And frankly, those who are perpetrators of violence have to be arrested, and they must be kept in jail. The problem was, we released somebody just 2 months ago. What is happening in UKZN? Burning of a building, burning of this thing. This has to stop. The second, the debt question that you raised is not a debt of NISFA students. All universities have agreed. NISFA students' debt is not an issue. We've got an agreement with this. It's the debt of missing middle students. That's the real big elephant in the room.
Okay, Adam, let me give Theto the opportunity to finish. 30 seconds. Your comment on the deal that has been signed between the students and the Education Department.
Look, Karima, it's quite good for now, but for now. The problems are deeper. I feel that conversations should be had with students even before they reach university, around honouring public resources, around even understanding how the NEFSA system works, or just how university life works. So we have to go back further. Before people even arrive at these institutions, they must, at grade 11, grade 10, grade 12, understand what it is that is expected of them and what they can expect of the state.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Professor Habib and Theto Mahlakoana from EWN. We, of course, have given you your fix for the week. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for watching.